is the comment. This is the exact. I'm pointing to the right fucking side. This is the comment. Lennon in. Damn right. Lennon in, everybody. Let's get Neil back. Let's get Lenny in the door. We need help. We need support. We need a bit of that same spirit we showed a couple. I'm joking. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's a live match reaction. It's a somber match reaction. It's a match reaction. I don't really want to do. I don't really want to talk about that game. And I decide, usually I don't do live match reactions. Usually I go away, I record it, I edit it, I put a wee bit of pizzazz in it if I can, and just, I try and get everything right, and I try and do my notes and everything else. But I decided if Celtic can't be asked putting the effort in, then neither can me. Ryan 118 is not putting the effort in because I'm there to watch them, but they're not out there playing for, that new chant that we've got, you play for us and we'll sing for you. It seems like it's a one-way thing just now. It seems like it's us singing for them and no playing for us, because 9 goals conceded in 3 games. We have failed to win in 3 games. We are not showing very many positives on the park right now. And I'm, me, I'm the most optimistic, the most, forward-thinking, happy-go-lucky Celtic fan you can find on this platform. I rarely complain, unless it's 2021. I rarely complain. But sometimes you need to put all that aside. And cup finals, fantastic. Potential trebles, potential. Put a big fucking potential in capital letters right now after the last few performances. You can put cup finals and trebles and title parties aside, because you've got to say for a minute here that the last few performances have been bang out of order for Celtic. Tonight's performance being the tip of the iceberg. That's it for me now. I am a bit annoyed. I'm a bit frustrated, and I watched Celtic today be stupid, silly, gutless, poor. Not just words that I would usually throw out there for a poor performance. I thought there was also more to it tonight. I thought that we were just reckless. We'll talk about the red card incident. I just thought we looked silly. People out on that park look like competition winners. They don't look good enough to play for Celtic. We'll come on to talking about certain individuals as the stream goes on and as we move along things here. And I'll get all your guys' comments as well, don't worry. But the last few performances have looked like a Celtic side who have put themselves in cruise control from here until the final whistle against Inverness in a couple of... not even a couple of weeks now, in a week and a half's time. It looks like a side that can't be bothered, and it's just quite simply not acceptable. And it makes it worse because you hear the comments that Callum McGregor was coming out with after the last game against St Mirren, and you hear the comments that Ange came out with after the game against St Mirren, and it gives you a bit of hope and a bit of, I thought there was a lot of promise there in saying that, yeah, we'll get back to our best tonight, we'll put out a good performance, we'll get a win in, and we'll be back to normal. But we didn't. And they look even worse. We were humped against Rangers. Humped with a capital H. We were pumped against St Mirren. Pumped with a capital P. And tonight, once again, a humping and a pumping against Hibs. We were lucky not to lose to St Mirren at the weekend. That's the honest truth. This could have been 3 losses in a row. We're lucky we've got a draw in between them. We have been extremely, extremely poor. And it needs sorted out big time. It needs addressed. We have one last league game this weekend against Aberdeen, Trophy Day. We need a good performance, because right now we're heading into a Scottish Cup final which there is no guarantees in. Look, we should be beating Inverness. We should be. Absolutely no denying that. We should be beating Inverness. Doesn't matter if it's the first or second team. We should be beating Inverness on paper. There should be no excuses for it. But it's their cup final too. They will turn up, and if they've watched anything from the last 3 games against Rangers, St Mirren and Hibs tonight, they will know exactly where the weaknesses are, and they'll know exactly what they have to do. So there's no guarantees, and we need to get over this horrible slump that we're in just now. Listen, as I said, most positive fan you'll come across on this platform. I don't like to moan about things when there's nothing really to moan about. I could be sitting here in this chair and going, well, it's alright, so we've won the league anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not the way to look at it. I'm not having a meltdown either, because I'm not concerned overly in terms of, I'm not thinking, oh, next season we're in trouble. Not thinking like that whatsoever. But I still don't like seeing my team lose. I've never been a loser. And anybody who's happy to sit there and go, oh, it doesn't matter that much, that to me is a losing attitude, and that makes you a loser, and that's one thing I do not like to be. And I don't like to see Celtic losing. That's where my meltdown comes in. Not in regards to the future and next season and being panicky. Oh, Rangers are going to catch up on us. They dropped points on all tonight. But where my panic and where my moaning comes in is just the overall form and the lack of positivity and attitude in that team that we need. Because they look as though they don't care. And that's unacceptable at any point of the season, champions or not. So, we're going to come on to the bigger picture stuff. We'll try and get all your points in as well for tonight, because there is a lot of things that we need to bring up. There's a lot of players we need to talk about, and I'm sure that you guys will guide the majority of the conversation, because that's why I'm live anyway, to try and get a lot of your conversation through on here, and try and talk about it all. But let's quick touch on the game as quick as we can, really, and then we'll get into talk about you. The team selection was a surprising one. Couple of big changes that we didn't maybe expect. Bernabe came back in for Taylor. Kobayashi returned to the back line. Scott Bain was in goals. We started Iwata. We started O. We started Haksabanovic. We started Abada. Some big changes, some big rotation. Experimenting with the side a little bit before the last home game on Saturday. Did it come back to bite us on the arse? Yes. And I'm all for rotating. I'm all for giving players a chance. And I would love to see them get a chance. But my oh my, did some of the performances justify why we don't do that very often tonight. Scott Bain. That's all I have to say. Bernabe. Kobayashi. Those in Ralston. I don't know what to say. Ralston's done. That honeymoon phase is over, isn't it? It's finished. We had it. It's gone. It's completely gone. The last few games, and listen, I don't want to go in two-footed here, and I don't want to take away a lot of the credit that I have given a guy like Tony Ralston over the last year. I really don't want to do that. I don't want to be overreactionary, and I'm trying my best here. But the last few games, Tony Ralston has looked like a competition winner. He looks as though he shouldn't be playing football at any level. The IQ is not there. Like, to be a football player, you can't just get by with technical ability or good defensive ability or what. You need the IQ. And Tony Ralston, over the last 2-3 performances, has shown an example of zero football IQ. Zero. And I am worried for him. I'm trying to be as patient and as loving and as supportive as I possibly can here through all the animosity that comes from performances like this and all the skepticism. I worry for him. I don't think that Tony Ralston is ever going to get back to that level that we seen him at last year. He's showing the same ability that we seen from Ralston before that. The Ralston that we said had no chance at Celtic. And am I confident that he can get through it a second time? No, not really. And I'm trying. But these are big moments for Tony Ralston. It needs to take, because he's not had a lot of opportunities throughout the season. With Johnston coming in and taking that place and making it his own, Ralston's place in the side has become very scarce. And when he's given a golden opportunity like this, at a point in the season where you should expect Celtic to do a lot better, and his standards have dropped that much, that to me shows that he's not even a player who's a good enough backup. Ralston, you're talking about wanting depth for Europe. Ralston can't be the backup right back. He can't. Because the minute that Johnson drops off of an injury, he's going to get torn apart. And that's what I worry about. I think that he has a long road to go again if he wants a place in this side. I really do. And that's just me being honest. I know that Ralston has a lot of fans. I know his hardcore fans really love him. But I just fear for him falling down that same sort of path that he was down before he captured it all. And do I think he'll get there again? I don't know. Bernabe, let's get on to him. Don't worry, I'm not just taking it all out in one player. Bernabe, he's not a Celtic player. He's not good enough. I have come to a decision. He's, quite frankly, shite. And I would be surprised if he saves what he's made of his Celtic career so far. I think that he might need a loan move. He might need some time away. He needs something, or he needs a big summer with drastic improvement, because the standard of Bernabei's football is well below what Celtic need. We've paid, nearly £4 million for the guy. And he is nowhere near a £4 million player. He can't pass the ball. He can't control the ball. He can barely run with the ball. He can't defend the ball. He is overall very, very, very poor. And he just reminds me of those kind of players who we bring in and we get excited for. And you try to be patient with them, and then the penny drops where you're like, nah, this guy's not good enough. And that's, with Bernabei, the thing is, right, it's not even like it's reactionary with Bernabei, because he's not played an awful lot of football, right? And like, there's no allegiances to hold to him either, and it's not like at any point we'll be like, oh, he's a cracking player. I have just held off from forming a proper opinion of him because I didn't want to do it too soon. But we're beyond the too soon part now. We are nearly a year into his Celtic career, and there has been nothing apart from that one goal that has proven to me that he's good enough to be a Celtic player. I think he needs time away. I think he needs to do something elsewhere, maybe be a loan deal. I don't know. But he ain't good enough, and he ain't going to cut it here. Because this is the thing, right? I love Greg Taylor, and he's had a fantastic season. But let's not be naive about things. Celtic can do better than Greg Taylor, right? We can. Honestly, we can. There is always going to be an improvement available on Greg Taylor. And I love Greg, and I hope he keeps that place down he has, but he just needs to keep getting better and better. But Bernabei was meant to be the one to come in and take that, and he's not even half the player Greg Taylor is. No. Let's talk about Kobayashi now. I'm very, 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 very cautious here of going in too hard on Kobayashi, because let me just transfer mark this very, very quickly, because I want to get the exact amount of games that Kobayashi has played for Celtic so far. Kobayashi has played for Celtic a total of 6 times, and that's including tonight, I think. 6 times. How harsh can you be on somebody who has played for the club 6 times? And I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that I wasn't praising him after his first 2 or 3, because I was. I was saying that I liked what I seen of him. I was thinking that he could have been good. But the last couple of appearances for Kobayashi have me seriously confirmed he's someone. I see a lot of people, look at this, a lot of people saying 6 games too many. He looks out of his depth. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look as though he's ready for this. And that's a game against Hibs at Easter Road where we're champions, and Hibs have had a bang average season. But once again, I'm trying not to go in too deep on him because he's played 6 games for the club, but it's not been a promising start for him. And he is very, 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 very quickly burying himself. He's got his own shovel out, and Celtic fans are turning on him. And I want him to turn that round. But his chances have slipped. He's got 2 more games. This is a cruel league. This is a cruel club to play for at times. In regards to your chances, they can go away very, very quickly, because fans get frustrated and people are there ready to take your spot. And it's just, I don't think he looks a confident partner for Starfelt. And I think that affects Starfelt's game a little bit. I think that you can see Starfelt with the way that Starfelt was playing tonight. It was like he was moving from his spot on the right over to the left when he didn't. He shouldn't need to do that, because we've been hearing that Kobayashi's his left-sided defender, but I think Starfelt in his head knows he has to cover for him because he's not confident or good enough. And that's affecting us at the back very, very much. And I'm very, very concerned that if these are the chances that we need him to take while Vickers is out, and this is what we're getting, what's going to happen when it's more serious? Because this, for as bad as these results are just now, and as poorly as we're playing, it's far from serious. So what's going to happen when he gets a chance, and it is serious? That's what concerns me. DM McDonald is always in here, always has some great points. He says this was Kobayashi's chance, the perfect opportunity. He looks so nervous. If he's like that at Easter Road, what's it going to be like at a hostile European stadium? That's the point I'm making. What is he going to be like when the pressure is truly on? Thank you very much for the £2 donation, Max Stark. Kobayashi looks too weak, bullied by Nisbet. And that's what's happened over the last couple of games. We've been bullied by forwards. And that's with different partnerships at centre-half. And that's just, you know, I think that we've just looked weak altogether. It's like we don't care. It's like we're not wanting to actually give it a go. And we're like, nah. It was happening at the weekend with Curtis Main against St Mirren. And it's happened tonight against Hibs with Nisbet. Really frustrating. Thank you for the donation. And finally, the last player that I wanted to kind of go through tonight was Scott Bain, who I must say, up until that blunder for the third goal, that blunder was actually probably keeping us in the game. he was probably saving it from being 4, 5, 6 at that point in time. But that was just the sad reminder of why Scott Bain is third choice keeper. I don't understand why he started. Well, I do understand why he started tonight, because Joe Hart had a stinker at the weekend. Do I think it merited him being dropped for Scott Bain? No, I don't. And I think it was a poor decision from the manager. Now, a lot of people might be saying, oh, no, Joe's been rotten recently, blah, 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 get him in. Was that what you were wanting then tonight? Because that was the alternative. It was a poor decision. I don't think that Bain should have started. And I think that when he went down and Hart started warming up, he should have came on there and then. It's obviously difficult for Bain because he doesn't play a lot. So, you know, these things happen. You see that happen a lot with goalkeepers. Coming in for the cold, they might make a wee blunder. They might not look so comfortable because they've not played in ages. But that's why you don't change these things. And I think that the rotation tonight from the manager and then moving on in the game with some bizarre decisions, there was just a lot up with what choices were being made tonight. So yeah, they were the 4 standouts that we need to talk about and question whether or not they should have a future at the club. Right? Well, that's a bit maybe extreme for the likes of Kobayashi, but they were awful tonight. They were really, really bad, and part of the reason that we conceded 4 goals, and the primary reason actually that we conceded 4 goals. Celtic's goals, penalty, yeah, it was a deserved penalty. Oh, kind of lucky to get it in the end, really. The red card, Dyson Maeda. I've seen a lot of people talking about Dyson Maeda. Should it have been a red card? Should it not have been a red card? No, sorry, I'm talking about Doyle's nonsense, right? Maeda was a red card. Should he have came off or should he have stayed on? Was what I was trying to say. My bad. This is the thing about going live. Sometimes you mess up. A lot of people were giving Ange criticism for keeping him on the park, and maybe he should have came off a little bit earlier on in the game. And I understand that, and I can see why people are saying that, because he looked angry. That's, you know, everybody said it, but it looked as though he had a chip on his shoulder. It looked as though he was out to tackle. He looked as though he was going to get booked twice. So I can understand that, right? I can understand why people are like, Ange should have took him off. He should have seen it coming. But at the same time, you've got to remember, Maeda came on late. Maeda came on for Haksabanovic in the first half when he went down injured. It's like an unwritten rule in football, isn't it? That you don't sub off a player that you've subbed on. It doesn't usually go down too well or look too good. I can understand why Ange didn't sub him off. Should he have? Yeah, probably. So that we didn't have a man sent off. But we paid the price. We went down to 10 men. And that's one of the things that reflects in our team right now and how poorly we're playing. I feel like that we just look so erratic and so unarsed to the point where we're like, oh, send me off. Okay. So now Maeda's missing the game at the weekend. Hopefully Haksabanovic is okay, because I actually was really excited for a Haksa start. I thought in that 20 minutes that he got, he was looking fine, he was looking decent, and then he goes down injured. And I would love to see him get that chance at the weekend. But, you know, we did, from 10 or 11 men, we were just bad. The whole thing was concerningly bad. And I've not seen the manager's comments yet. I don't know if he spoke yet. I'm waiting for the update on the BBC website, because usually you get it quite quickly on there. It's not up yet, but it's not good enough to blame it now on, you know, I'm not criticising Ange. here because I love him with all my heart, right? But Ange came out after, the last game, one of the last games. Can't remember if it was St Mirren or the game beforehand. And he said, like, oh, CCV being out's nothing to do with it. We missed him in Europe and blah, blah, blah. But evidently it has got something to do with it because without him and Johnston on the side, we have conceded 9-3. It's evidently got something to do with it. And that needs addressed. And that, I don't know what we're doing on the training ground. I don't know what's happening at Lennoxtown. But we can't look at these performances anymore and go, nah, it's alright, we've won the league anyway. We need to sort this. We need to fix it. It ain't good. And I'm not looking forward to Saturday because I'm confident we can win the game. I'm confident we'll beat Aberdeen. But am I confident I'll see a performance that I enjoy? No, not so much. So we really need to fix it. We need to sort it out. The fingers need to get out the arse because we just don't look as though we care at all. And obviously for Celtic, that's just not good enough. It's not acceptable. And that's the point I tried to drill home earlier in the stream, that yeah, you can say like, oh, calm down and such all you like, but it doesn't matter what position you're in or what point of the league it is. You can't sit back and accept losing, especially 4-2 to Hibs. You know what I mean? I want to drag you guys into the stream. I feel like I've basically said everything that I want to say. Burnley, this sums it up for Burnley as well. A foul shy. Do me a favour. He can't take he's a fullback. One of the only things fullbacks have to do right. No, I'm joking, right? But one thing that you want your fullback to be able to do is take a fucking throw in. And he can't. Painful. Let me get you guys involved in the stream. Feel free to leave as many points as you like and spam them if you like, whatever. I'll try and get on to as many of them as possible. You can donate if you like as well. It'll get priority and I'll make sure to bring it up. But we'll try and get you all in. I'll start off with the old faithful, Dave McDonald. I've seen enough of Burnley. The difference between him and Taylor is night and day. Not to be harsh, he's just rubbish. Just another Laxalt, all promise, but no ability. Couldn't put it better myself. And that's at what point do you sit down and you go, where is the promise? Because I don't see it now. When he came in, I was excited. I was like, young Argentinian, decent fee behind him, good things I've heard. He's got good traits. But I've not seen any evidence to say, like, oh, the potential's there and we're going to nurture it and we're going to see the profit of it. We're not, by the looks of it. And you can't just obviously keep waiting and waiting. Once again, what's going to happen to when to next year in Europe when Greg Taylor drops off of an injury? Do we trust Bernabei to take us forward? No, absolutely not. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm looking for the next person to bring in. Plank and Sombo says Bernat isn't a defender. All his good play was in the final third tonight. I've seen people say, oh, he's a better winger. I still wouldn't even play him in the wing, but I wouldn't play him at all. That's how bad he is. I wouldn't play him at all. At this point, I'd say Welsh over Kobayashi, and that is saying something. Wow, says Mr. And I'd be inclined to agree. Welsh must be watching just now and thinking, I can get a fucking game going at this cup final. You know what I mean? It must be. But I don't think he will get that chance because Ange isn't going to now just bin Kobayashi. And do you know what? Fair enough. I respect that and I understand that. It's not like you just want to bin a player like Kobayashi who's played 6 games. Oh, you had your chance, bugger off. Ange is obviously going to try and get the best out of him. But right now, do I believe in getting the best out of him? No. And I'm scared of that risk. So yeah. Let's see. What else? Ryan, I'm honestly worried for the game against Inverness. I'm not worried because I've already said, I've made my points clear. Like, it's not a guarantee, and we need to buckle up our ideas, and we need to sort things out because it could be tricky. I am confident we should be beating Inverness, but these aren't positive signs, and if they do their homework well enough, they'll make it a tough game. As I said, it's their cup final too. Yeah, personally don't think it's down to individuals. We've been pished for weeks, no matter who's been playing. Another fair point, but there's some that have stood out like a sore thumb. There is some that has stood out like a sore thumb. And some that I just think aren't good enough to play for Celtic, quite frankly. That's how I would put it. Luke says, long run, this game aside, in a full season, Context, corners and set pieces need to be assessed. Every game we get large handfuls of corners which are mostly wasted with poor balls or silly shot. I 100% agree. I was watching the Brighton game, not tonight. No, sorry, it wasn't Brighton. I was watching the Brentford game against Spurs at the weekend. And they had Pontus Jansson on for the kind of pre-match punditry. And they were asking Pontus Jansson, look, you have scored the third most goals from set pieces since you've been promoted to the Premier League. The only two sides above them were Manchester City and Liverpool. I said, how you're a mid-table side. How have you been doing this? How have you been scoring so many goals from set pieces? And it's nothing to do with height or defenders or whatever. You know, they went out, and Pontus Jansson said they went out and they hired the set piece expert that has studied set pieces around the world and yada, 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 and they've worked on it every single day. What are we doing? What are we doing with set pieces? Because we don't know how to fucking use them. We don't know how to take a corner. It pisses me off. Do that. Go and fucking find somebody. Because our waste of set pieces is getting really annoying, really frustrating, and it's something I don't really talk about because we end up winning games anyway. But at Celtic Park every week, my head is in my hands when we play a shot corner. Such a waste because we don't do anything from it. So yeah, Scott Payne says Rosie, or is that Rosie? Anyway, says it very bluntly. Wow, a lot of comments flying in. I hate them. Yeah, Daryl, I hate short corners. Absolutely hate them. Comments are flying in thick and fast. So apologies if I do miss any of your points. I'm going to try and wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. So if you're really desperate, just feel free to get it in. Oh, there we go. Donation. Thank you very much. Ooga Booga, £5 saying not to hide from the recent bad performances, but fuck it, we'll have a brilliant day on Saturday with the drinks flowing and then a hung-over Monaco Grand Prix. True. Very true. And I'll be buzzing. Listen, I'm buzzing with this season. I'm not letting a few games at the end turn anything around and say like, we're done, we're rotten, I'm concerned. But we've had a cracking campaign, and when I look back on this season in 5-10 years' time, I'll look back on it with great admiration and a lot of happiness. But I just want us to, we've bottled the 100 points, the Centurion season, bottled it. Annoying. And I just don't like seeing us lose. But you're right, I will be happy on Saturday. I will be. So, yeah. Oh, another donation. Thank you very much, Ben. A £5 donation. We need to look at the youth system. Ralston, Johnson, Miller, Doohan, or Pish are all playing in lower leagues in England and Scotland. Yeah, we've spoke about it a lot on the podcast. There is... it's one of those things where, we go through the youth system for the last few years, and we've spoke about many a time. Thank you, Marty boy, I'm a ponce. But when we look through it, and there ain't a lot of talent that have come through that have made it at Celtic. Kieran Tierney being the standout in the last 5-6 years. And since then, you name them, because there's not been many. But yeah, it's a big conversation for another day, but it is a part of what needs to be addressed at Celtic. Out of the very few things that aren't really hitting all the high notes right now, that's probably one of them. So yeah, get Jens pack, says Chilpel. I don't know why we let him go. I really don't. I've never understood it. I thought he was cracking. But he's gone, obviously. He's away now. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. Yeah, what else has been said? A couple more. We'll try and get a couple more for a wrap up, because I was going to wrap it up at the 30-minute mark. So a couple of last. Scales ain't good enough, chill pal. Come on, let's be real. Scales ain't an answer to the problem. He ain't. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm going to wrap up there, because a half an hour match reaction is well longer than I usually do, and I want people to be able to watch it back and enjoy it if they can. A lot of obviously moaning about tonight. And the bigger... Look, listen, I can understand the bigger picture thing. We're champions, we should be happy, we shouldn't be complaining, no panic and all that. I understand it. That is the way that I want to look at things. But at the same time, you've got to understand that Celtic losing shouldn't be happening. And thank you, Marty boy. Celtic losing at Easter Road 4-2 shouldn't be happening. Unacceptable performances from some of the players. And we need to have a hard look at that. And we need to, we've had a couple of opportunities to bounce back now, and we haven't. And it it raises all these different points, and I just can't be bothered. I just want to be smiling. I want to be happy. So right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank everybody for coming and watching and listening. Enjoy your night. Enjoy tomorrow. We'll be back, and we'll be back obviously rolling into the last game of the season on Saturday for the title party. Champions, I suppose.